Hi, everybody. So yeah, we've only got a couple of us on today. Oh, someone else. So feel free to, jump in and I can answer any questions you got in relation to some of the slides that we're actually looking at. So today we're going to look at how we measure the value of like your digital channels in your organization. So yeah, what's the true value of digital? Some businesses, the website, especially during COVID or pre-COVID, I should say, the website was kind of this appendage they had on the side, which may have driven revenue to the business, but it was always something that was just kind of on sidelines and not really paid much attention to. COVID kicks in, and for some businesses, it's the only channel that they can sell against. So it's, a lot more marketing and budget has gone into companies' digital strategies, and consequently, they've been promoted more. But, people, if you're building your brand online, sometimes people go offline, or, they find you online and then they'll phone you up. So we just want to see how we can measure it. Some of the little tips and tricks, which may not be immediately obvious when we're doing digital marketing campaigns, that we can try and find a bit more value in some of the data, which we'll have a look at. So, there we go. So my name is Lee Woodman. I run a consultancy called Visit Digital. So we specialize in e-commerce, lead generation businesses, looking at it more from kind of go-to-market, market and competitor analysis. And I like to get deep and dirty on the data side of things. So that's my kind of speciality, and how we relate that stuff to commercial value for your businesses. So, right. So the kind of customer journey. So all looks very pretty. So, they get exposed to your brand in some way or another. Something triggers them to go, okay, well, I'm going to go and explore further. And then they go on this exploration, evaluation process. And eventually, we're trying to hook them out of that evaluation process into purchase. So that, in the ideal world, is what it looks like. The reality looks a bit more like this, and it's very difficult to see where somebody has come from in the first place. We can get a reasonably good idea or reasonably accurate picture, but this is called a messy middle for a reason. When somebody starts browsing, my journey to buy a car was probably 2-year exercise, hundreds of touch points across probably Google Ads, YouTube, Facebook, the websites, TV, so trying to paint an accurate picture of what's going on, where that person's actually originated from, it can be quite difficult. So, as I've said here, you might be lucky and, find the ultimate original source as paid search. Depends on what kind of business you've got. But if, just as a side point, this is sourced from something that Google generates called Think with Google. So there's some phenomenal insights which they kind of mine in different sectors and they'll go quite deep on some subject areas. So, it might just happen to be in your space. So I think, they've done one on like stand-up paddleboarding, which if you're in that space, it's a treasure trove of information. So definitely worth looking at that. It's called Think with Google. So yeah, our ultimate aim is to try and find out what is that source data. How do we then, measure what our return on our investment is, and how do we double down and go, right, well, we know it's working, we're going to throw some more money in. So it's about getting the confidence to know this information. So we need to kind of understand our sources of revenue. So yesterday we talked about like measurement strategies for your business. So how we're going to measure the digital landscape, if you like, and how you fit in there, and what kind of information you're going to gather from your audiences to help you make better decisions further down the line. So this is kind of just a standard implementation of Google Analytics for companies. So, they've probably got I don't know, 150, 200 sources of traffic. You know, we can obviously see Google Organic is the biggest one here, and that's driving quite a lot of revenue. It doesn't convert the best, but that's essentially free traffic. So, you know, you got to kind of weigh it up. Likewise, paid search doesn't convert quite as well as organic. You know, which, yeah, it's not, it doesn't surprise me, but sometimes that's higher, sometimes it's lower. And then we got direct traffic. So this is brand generally. So it could be type-ins or just that, you know, Google's not tracked them in a certain way. So we can't tell where they've actually originated from. And their conversion rate's massive, it's like 15%. So that's a highly engaged audience. We can see they're looking at, you know, 5 page views per visit in this instance, and they're spending like 13 minutes on the site. That's probably because they're getting through the cart. There's a higher percentage of people getting through the cart. So this timeline is increasing. And yeah, some other channels like this is affiliates, YouTube organic. I think Google Surfaces, that's the new shopping campaigns that Google has. So getting a picture in here of what's actually happening on your website and being reasonably confident in this data set, I'd strive to get that for your business. You know, that's an investment worth doing so that, you know, you can trend over time. You can look back in time and go, right, well, you know, this time last year, we were doing X, Y, Z revenue from Google search. This year we're doing, you know, ABC. And for example, we've got a client at the moment where they're doing a lot of paid search advertising. They're doing a lot of brand bidding, and we can see in organic search, this traffic has reduced year on year because we've got more brand traffic going through Google Ads. So Google Ads is picking up more of that traffic. Now, from a business perspective, you know, we need to decide whether, you know, could we get away with not bidding on brand? You know, that's quite a common decision companies have got to make. But again, unless we're tracking it, we can see it. It's very difficult for us to make that call. So yeah, what I was going to just touch on that, pinch of salt. Okay, so this is last click attribution. So what I mean by that is the last thing somebody clicked on is their source of traffic that gets logged in here. So this is saying that Google Organic was the last thing that they saw before they made a purchase on your website. So they Googled something, come into the website and did a transaction during that session. It doesn't take into account any other channels which they saw before that. So maybe they saw a Facebook ad last week and they've come, you know, subconsciously they saw that and they were like, oh, I need to buy my mum something for Christmas. And then they Googled it and then they come in. So this doesn't take that into account. So something to be mindful of, you know, you may have like TV campaigns running or anything like that where, you know, it's skewing your digital data slightly. So just to be mindful of that. It's very, very difficult to get a complete source of truth in your like measurement data. So one thing you want to be careful of inside there. So this list, as I say, I mean, for this client, and even if you're a relatively small business, this list can be quite long because you might just get one visitor from somewhere and they've transacted and they become a referral source for you. This list, just avoid or sanity check it and look for things like this. So idcheck.touchtechpayments. So this is a payment gateway. And what happens is when you transact through the website, you get to your checkout, you put your credit card details in and it takes you off to some other credit card processing system. And then it brings you back into the website and Google Analytics thinks that's a new session. And so hence here, we can see that this ID check touch tech payments is taking £18,000 of our revenue to that source. So what that does is skew all the other data. So, you know, maybe that is Google Ads traffic, or maybe it's Facebook traffic or Google Organic Search. So definitely audit that list of sources which drive traffic to the website get rid of anything like that, because it's just going to skew your data. So that's quite an important one. So, I mean, if we zoom in on one of these, so let's go number 2, Google CPC. So that is paid search coming out of Google Ads. So ideally, we want to be putting £1 in and we want to get at least £2 out. You know, depending on what your business model is, you may be looking for a 4x return on your pound. And it really depends on your industry. Like, we've got some brands that are 15x their return, but you know, it really depends on the industry that you're in. So in this instance, we are spending, or this one, in this particular time frame, I think it's a month, they've spent £1,000 on Google Ads and they've made a return of £124.76. Okay, so we're basically minus 800% on our return. So for every pound we're putting in, we're losing 8. Yeah, which not good. So that is, so the temptation with that is that you basically turn it off. Yeah, so you turn off that campaign because it's not working for you. Alian, so the temptation is you turn it off, but is that the right move? You know, are we actually shooting ourselves in the foot? Because what we didn't know is that campaign is actually working. We just can't see it working in our data. So this is quite often a scenario where companies new to paid search, they go in the market, they might set it up themselves. And what happens then is that you just get, you know, Google is very keen for you to spend money with them, and they'll sometimes suggest ways in the campaigns which may not necessarily, you know, it may be in a long-term strategy, but it's not necessarily a short-term strategy. And basically your spend goes through the roof, you can't see any sales, and, you know, the business loses confidence to keep it going. So this is a scenario that we quite often see. So this is some SEMrush data. So it's like a market analysis tool. So this company's come into the paid search market. They've given it a go for like, you know, 4 or 5 months, spent a lot of money, and then it's like breaks on because a couple of reasons. So they're either not bidding effectively or they're not measuring it correctly. And very often the measurement is the issue. And it depends what kind of businesses you're in, but B2B sales, you know, they can be very long. So if if this is picking up leads, but it's like, well, we haven't converted any of those people, we're going to turn it off. But that person converts in 12 months time, then the business, you know, needs to know that. So there was a situation, especially if you do subscriptions. So subscription, this is a classic kind of mistake if you do subscription. So you basically buy some traffic, get people to the website, and you get 10 sales, and then at the end of the month you look at your return on your ad spend, and it's like it's either the same, or it's either a one-to-one relationship, and it's like, well, do we continue risking budget in that channel? What they often don't see with subscription marketing with paid ads is lifetime value. So we had a client where they'd spent, I think it was only about £250 in Google Ads. So I think they made probably about the same amount of money, but when we looked at it, I think we came in about 12 months later, and when we actually, I think we asked them, like, you doing any paid campaigns? And yeah, we tried it, didn't work for us. So when we actually audited it, one of the people that they'd hooked in, she'd actually subscribed, and she was still subscribing. So her lifetime value was something like £600, and, you know, they turned that off. So they had 5 clients who, they just done one transaction. I don't think they lost any money on them. But it was that one client who had subscribed, kept the subscription going, and they were making money. So measurement is a key thing. And if you're, you know, as I say, subscription business or B2B, there's a couple of other considerations that you need to take into account there. It's potential, it just didn't work. You know, I mean, these guys have tried it for quite a long time, but I see this curve very often for companies who dip their toe into paid search. And then, well, what are competitors doing? So we're not necessarily reinventing the wheel here. If we are selling car tires or whatever it might be, other people are going to be selling car tires as well. So let's go and look at their businesses from a SEMrush and data analysis perspective. And, you know, let's see if they've been running paid search on their websites. If this is a continuous up and down graph, you know, so if they're continuously spending money, the chances are it's working. You know, it's unlikely a commercial enterprise like that is going to keep spending money on a channel which is not working. Does happen, don't get me wrong, but it's unlikely. So have a look what competitors are doing, see if they're, you know, if they got paid ads running. You can also see what they're bidding on, which is very useful. So, you know, see what's working for them to some extent. So yeah, that's we have to measure it properly. Otherwise we can make, you know, we're basically shooting ourselves in the foot because we haven't measured it, and then, you know, we've turned something off which is actually working. So Google, just as a side note, so this logo here is a Google Ads Performance Max like icon, if you like. So Google Ads previously was keyword driven. So it was like, right, we're going to put our keyword in, we're going to create an ad, and then we're going to bid on that advert. Whereas they've got some new campaign types now called Performance Max, which uses a bit more machine learning. So you basically just give it all of your assets, so logo, couple of like strap lines about what your business does. You might send it to your YouTube channel. You're going to upload images of your products. Literally put it all into one campaign and give it a budget, and Performance Max will basically A/B test it in various different scenarios against different relevant keywords that, you know, you want to sell products against, or terms that you want to sell products against. So it takes a little bit of the risk away to some extent, because what's happened here more than likely is they bid on very generic words. So if you are selling something like, I don't know, cheese, yeah, but you only specialize in, you know, a certain type of blue cheese, and your ads campaign is just targeted cheese, well, there's like millions of people searching for cheese. So, and 99.9% of them don't want your cheese. Yeah. So you need to narrow your campaign right down to be very specific. And this is quite good at doing that. So from my experience, you know, so it takes this general risk away of just a basic kind of keyword campaign. So might want to try that. So when we're bidding in paid search, so we've thrown this traffic in, we're spending potentially quite a lot of money on our campaigns, but we're not getting any conversions. So we spent, you know, it's not an unrealistic budget, a couple of £1,000 a month. We get to the end of the month and it's like we haven't had a lead, never mind a sale. You know, we're going to turn that off. So I see that quite often, and we've actually got campaigns, or some of our clients are running campaigns where there is zero return on their campaigns, but they've been running them for, you know, year and a half, 2 years, because they know they're working indirectly. Yeah. So if any of you have got CRMs, so things like HubSpot, I know HubSpot does it. I don't know any other ones, but I've not experienced any other ones. So in HubSpot, you can tag your website with the HubSpot tag, and basically it will show you the networks that have been looking at your website. And what that does is it'll give you confidence to go, well, we know we got JP Morgan Chase into our website via paid search. They just didn't convert. And then we know we got Barclays Bank in there. We know we got HSBC, all from paid search, but they're just not converting. So instead of, you know, there being kind of this tumbleweed moment where we're not seeing any traffic or any leads, we're not, you know, nothing's happening. It could actually be happening behind the scenes. You just can't see it. And this is quite a common scenario with B2B businesses where they go to market, they set their Google Ads campaigns up from wherever they come from or whatever traffic sources you're interested in. This could be social media. Don't get any conversions and then turn those campaigns off. But there's actually a bit of insight that they're not seeing. And it's what quality traffic is actually coming through on those campaigns. And that's what HubSpot can do. So if you're a big entity like JP Morgan, Swansea University, quite often anybody with a leased internet line coming into your business, the name of that account is quite often sold. I think they're sold back to data providers like HubSpot, Lead Forensics, who then provide a service where it's like, okay, well, somebody come into my website on this IP, they'll do a reverse lookup and it's like, oh yeah, that was JP Morgan Chase. And they came in our paid search campaign. And that insight is super valuable because what it does is go, well, actually the campaign's working. We're getting the right type of audience to the website. They're just not converting when they get there. So that then leads on to another conversation where it's like, hey, if it's the Google Ads like agency going, look, we're getting the right type of clients for you, but your website's just not performing to convert those people. That leads on to a website conversion rate question. What is it about the website which is not converting this audience because it's the right type of audience that's coming? So like, I'll just show you this. This is my website, so I don't get particularly many big networks looking at it. This is an interesting one called Adler and Allen. I think they're an e-commerce company, but I hooked them out of Facebook. So I'm on a Shopify Plus Facebook group, and I think I posted something in there, and then they came in directly from that channel. They've never got in contact with me. I've never had a lead form or anything like that, but I know they've looked at the website. So that might give me the confidence to go, okay, well, I know I've had a couple of people look at the website. I'm going to go and do another post on Facebook in that group because I know it drives traffic. Yeah. So if you are B2B and you're dealing with big clients or don't have to be big necessarily, but this can be super valuable. So this is HubSpot's version, which actually is very low resolution. So you're not actually getting much data from this. If you want to go something kind of enterprise grade, you want to go Lead Forensics. So that's going to give you much higher resolution on the networks that are looking at your website. And yeah, that's can open up another conversation about paid search because we know it's working, we're getting the right type of clients, they're just not converting. Any questions about that? Because that's not this report is available in HubSpot for free, but for some reason HubSpot bury it, so you can only get to it if you search for it. It's not in any of their kind of standard navigation. Plus you have to have your website tagged up, which is pretty easy.
I did have a quick question. Have you ever had someone use HubSpot and Shopify together?
Yeah.
Because you seem to love HubSpot across all of these things. You're like, oh, HubSpot is great. And don't get me wrong, I remember reading Inbound Marketing by one of the founders of HubSpot and thinking HubSpot is great, but I've never actually used it because I've been e-commerce. But I'm going B2B in the future now, as you know. I'm thinking HubSpot might be a good thing for me because it's also compatible with my existing CRM, Zendesk.
Okay. Yeah. We got at least 2 decent sized clients running HubSpot and Shopify. So cool. What you'll quite often find is that, they've got a strong B2C side, but they're using kind of the HubSpot side for B2B. Cool. However, there's a direct, there's a HubSpot Shopify plugin. So it will push all of your deal flow into HubSpot.
Amazing. Cool. I'll investigate. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's a good one. Cool. And then we've got, so this offline acquisition. So what might have happened here is JP Morgan Chase came out, looked at the website, came in on a paid search campaign, looked at loads of pages on the website. You know, your digital marketing team is going brilliant. Hope that they've converted to come down here, but they've just gone, phoned you up, and then your whole attribution window, you know, it's just gone out down the pan because they just phoned the sales guys up and he converted them on the phone and it's job done, you know, which it happens a lot, especially in like financial services, anything where the decision is, you know, they want to speak to somebody. It's very, very often happens there. And then, or they've had a conversation with you. So instead of you going through checkout to buy, they want to ask you a question and they, you know, they spin up a conversation with you on web chat. So that's an example of a company when it loads. They've got web chat, which sits here. So, you know, they sell pretty bespoke speciality kind of products in relation to ladders. So there's a lot of questions, you know, so yeah, so we get a lot of inquiries through there instead of going down and just buying. So again, you know, they're paying for traffic, but we don't know, all of a sudden they get an order and it's like, oh, but actually that did come from the website. So this one, you can get integrations with most like websites. So for example, HubSpot, I know I bleat on about it. And the reason I bleat on about it with HubSpot is that it is pretty much the ultimate connected CRM. So a lot of other CRMs, you do have other ones similar, but all your data is swimming in the same pool. Like, you know, you can have chat in there, you can email directly from it, you can, yeah, it's just all under one roof, and that opens up a lot of opportunities with using the data that's in there. Because this, for example, Talk is a siloed web chat tool. It's a pretty good one, but it is a siloed, so it's all the data's in there by itself, so it doesn't actually integrate. Well, for this conversation, it does integrate with any other system. So if you want to find stuff out about those people, you've got to go in there and have a look. Versus if your web chat or phone or whatever is all integrated in one system, all of that data comes into the timeline, so you can see exactly where they came from. So we had a client actually where I was like, look, you know, looking back through their data. So I think this was in the September, and we looked back at their June Google Ads performance, and they had an order for like 60 grand came from Google Ads. And the owner of the business was like, no, they came through web chat. And I was like, well, they did come through web chat, but, you know, they don't just appear in chat. There's a source of where they came from. So, you know, that then got attributed to Google Ads. And instead of their paid search campaign being like 3x return, it was like, you know, 7 or 8x. So, you know, 3 and 4x returns on Google Ads, you know, cutting it a bit fine sometimes. So yeah, you got web chat and then you got phone. So quick little demo, because this is pretty cool. So the phone, I mean, if you pick up, we'll do Chase as an example. Yeah, so that phone number there is, that is their phone number. You know, it's not gonna, there's no, you know, there's no phone call for the phone number for the website, phone call for the office. It's just one phone number across the whole business. So you can get applications now, response tap is one. So if you see this phone number here, if I reload the page, keep an eye on that phone number. Yeah, so it ends in 7600, and then it switches to 0925. And that's actually based on where I come from. So if I come direct from organic, paid, or any other channel that they've got set up, they can dictate what phone number appears on the website. And what that means is that, you know, you don't get this scenario. So, or you do get it, but at least you can track it. So your digital marketing team is like, yeah, actually, we know where that sale came from. It was on XYZ phone number. And that's our social media phone number. So again, if you're B2B, if you're spending a lot of money on paid search, even B2C, that's quite important. So one of our guys to work with works for a company where they sell very high-end jewelry. So you're talking 10 grand plus kind of average order value. So when they get through the basket, if the technology can see there's £10,000 in the basket here, and then that person's got questions, you want to get an answer to that person pretty quickly. So you can use this kind of technology. These guys don't do it, but it's a different one, where there's a dynamic phone number generated for every query, every checkout, and that phone number is basically like a hotline phone number on their desk, and they can attribute it back. So first of all, they know the payload that's in the cart. So like when they answer the phone, they know what that person's got in their basket to be able to support them. So depends on what kind of proposition you've got. But that's a pretty cool bit of technology. And this is what we're trying to get to. This is like the end game for measuring the value of your digital presence, if you like. So this might be a current situation. It's difficult to attribute lead or sale back to a paying customer. That's typically more of a problem for B2B. So for B2B, quite often the CRM is, that is a sales job, if you like. So the sales team kind of own the CRM because that's their tool for managing customers and leads, when in fact the marketing department is a pretty key, well, they are a fundamental stakeholder in that because they're the ones who get the leads in there in the first place. So you need then to loop all that kind of intel back to the beginning, and it's so the sales guy is going, yeah, we closed 10 leads. All right, well, the marketing team is going, well, where, well, what have you done this month? And they're like, yeah, we closed Lee Woodman as a client. In his record on your CRM, you want it to say, okay, well, we hooked Lee Woodman out of organic social from LinkedIn. Took him 2 years to convert, but we know that his original interaction with us came from that. And having that data is the holy grail. If you know that, that is the holy grail, because then you can be confident to go, I'm going to double down and go back in to that channel. And this is what happened with this guy. So I used to work with him a very long time ago. I did a LinkedIn post. He came in and had a look at my website. I've only got, at the time, we only had a one-page website. So we looked at it 3 times over, 6 minutes. And then he submitted a contact form. So I know that my LinkedIn post worked at driving that inquiry. Never actually converted to sale, but it's a side point. Yeah, and there's a couple of other issues. It's you've got this data silo. So you've got your web chat. You may have other sources of data which are not talking to each other. So it's kind of missed opportunities that in understanding where the actual value is being generated from, and you can't nurture your leads. So if this person is a prospect and they've, so you've got them, you've hooked them in, you converted a lead, you got them sitting in a CRM, there's a lot of things you can do with them if you've got them in there. So yeah, this is what you need to strive for. This is even whether you're B2B or B2C, this setup is the ideal scenario because you can do a lot of cool stuff once you have this all singing. It's not cheap to get it, don't get me wrong. It's not a cheap, and it's not actually a simple process to get it to work properly. I mean, we've worked with a lot of companies. Not many have got it right. I'd struggle to pick one that I could almost use as even a case study. They're close, but this is actually quite a complex thing to get. But if you can get it, it's absolute game changer. So any questions on that? No? Okay. Right, so we're going to touch back on this kind of attribution thing. So if we zip back to this one. So Google CPC here, converting at 6%, it's generated whatever, 29 grand. We've had 4,500 transactions coming out of paid search. So we can calculate our return on our ad spend. So if this has cost us, I don't know, 5 grand, and we've got 20 whatever grand back, you know, we're getting a 5 or 6 to 1 return on our spend. It's not the whole story. Hence why I've said take a pinch of salt, because in this example, we need to think about assisted conversion. So we might have just hooked them out with paid search. That might have been the last place that they saw our advert, but we actually picked them up from a newsletter, 2 years ago. So when we're measuring the return or reporting on the figures of how much money we've actually made from paid search, we need to factor in last click. And as a potential complementary metric, we might want to talk about assisted conversions. So that is saying that, yes, we got this person, they converted via direct traffic, as in brand. So they might have searched for, whatever your domain is.com, but we originally got them from paid search. So that, if paid search is the last one down here, it's the first one, then that becomes an assisted conversion. So in this instance, this company had 33 last click conversions, and they had 28, or paid search assisted with 28 of those. Assisted with an additional 28 conversions, which is massive. So this one here, they came in on paid search, then they converted on organic. This one just interacted with paid search. This one came out of a social network. Then they came and looked at the website a couple of times after. So yeah, the journey, you can see why it's called a messy middle, because if we dug a bit deeper on this data, some of the journeys are 15, 20 channels long. So, and then if somebody deletes their cookies, goes out the window, they might just sit in direct. So direct traffic, that one there, is very often made up of all the other channels together, because somebody might delete their cookies and then type your domain name, come in, and then they're just seen as direct traffic. So that is very often, when you turn this off, quite often direct traffic drops as well. Yeah. So, and this is another, get a CRM tip. So the time lag to conversion. So when somebody is in the buy cycle, so we can see here that we get 81% of our conversions on the same day, but we get, quite a lot of leads. In this instance, I don't know, maybe 20% of our revenue is not on day one. It can be, there's a few on the first day after, but equally this time lag to sale or lead is quite long. So this is where a CRM and kind of lead nurture comes in. I've never seen this report where, it's all the traffic is on this day. You might get some weird products where it's impulsive and it's like sort on Facebook, bang, I'll have that. But generally, especially if it's high value, this is a considered purchase and this timeline is big. Yeah. So that's where a CRM comes in and goes, okay, well, we had somebody in, they went to their basket, we might have an abandoned basket, or they might have signed up for the newsletter, but day 3 or 4, we want to be hitting them with some kind of lead nurture mechanism to re-engage. So that's quite an interesting report. This is this is Google Analytics, the current version. So not sure what this looks like in GA4 yet, but yeah, this is, most B2C brands are around that figure. We've got one which is yeah, it's like high-end clothing. So that is more like 50 or 60%. So there's quite a long time lag to them converting. You know, Sean, you might find that people start researching like January, February time, but they're not ready to purchase till the season starts.
Exactly right. Yep.
Yeah, it's just that kind of lead nurture process, giving them guides, getting them thinking about the topic, really.
Exactly. Yeah. But it doesn't show my data yet, so I've got to figure out how to do that.
Yeah. Okay. So we're nearly at the end, but when we're the value of what you're going to see inside analytics is, say, multifaceted. There's a lot of stuff in there. My biggest tip is that you get it set up as good as you can do at the beginning. If you're not a data geek, you know, that's unless you do like looking at data, it's not the most exciting thing. But if you invest in getting your kind of measurement strategy set up to begin with, once you start recording this data, you're going to, you know, data nerds like me are going to basically be able to go in there and start having a look to see what opportunities exist. So this, for example, site search. So, you know, we've all been on Amazon. If you go to something like something different and you search for unicorns, that data gets fed back into analytics. And, you know, if I said on there, I want I don't know, gray unicorn, it's unlikely they got any gray ones here. So that now gets fed into Google Analytics as a no result query. So the business can mine this data, and, you know, for these guys, site search is a massive part of their business. That insight goes back into analytics, new product development can go, right, show me all the no results lists that people are searching for. And they were like, well, we're getting a lot of queries for gray unicorns. You know, we're gonna create one. And there's a lot of opportunities with that kind of data. I mean, site search, I love that. It's, especially for an e-commerce, it's like that you have to pay attention to what's going on in there, because it's they're at least twice as likely to convert. I mean, for these guys, they're 4 or 5 times. So yeah, there's a lot of data you can get about your customers because they're telling you what they want. So, you know, give them what they want. New product development ideas, and then, you know, it's audience insight. So super valuable. And yeah, you know, test, measure, learn. So get your measurement strategy set up as early as possible, because it takes time to start seeing trends. You know, quite often we get brought in and it's like, right, we're going to set Google Analytics up today. We're going to get access to Search Console. Well, Search Console only starts recording the day that you set it up generally. So we can't do anything for probably, you know, a month, because there's no data in there. There's nothing to actually look at, trend against. So yeah, it's my biggest tips off this call. Get your measurement strategy, or think about your measurement strategy and get that set up. Get access to Google Search Console, because that's going to give you some very insightful data about how people search for your products. So, any questions? Have a look at some specifics if you want to.
Search and Eyes. Been using it. Thank you for the recommendation as well. I've got it written down somewhere, but could you refresh my memory when I'm in Search and Eyes, and looking at data? What kind of little bits should I do with that data?
So redirection. Yeah.
Redirect. Yeah.
So if I search in here for cauldrons, maybe, and hit return. So instead of it taking me to a search results page, this is taking me directly to the category page. It's a much better experience. Yeah, because the search results page, I'll spell that wrong. Yeah, the search results page is not the best experience versus this one, which is a curated product category.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's key. Synonyms. So you want to, maybe people call these black pots. I don't know, but whatever the synonyms are related to your brand.
Yeah, a really good example that I fixed already. A lot of people were searching for clamber instead of a brand called Claber, or spell check just automatically changes Claber to clamber, basically. So I did that one.
Yeah. Okay. So you got synonyms, redirects. You want to be no results. That's a key one. So what is returning no results?
Mm-hmm.
So then and quite often you'll find those are synonyms. But yeah, just no results is a key one. Because you're using Shopify, I think you can see products bought as well, so you can actually calculate the value. So if you go into Search and Eyes, go to like analytics in there,
mm-hmm.
you're going to be able to see products bought as a direct result of that search. So
perfect. Yeah,
that's quite good. Trying to think what else we do. Filtering. So depending on if you're using Search and Eyes' search results page, sometimes this list on the left is not really structured like you want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
So you can actually tweak that inside filters on I think it's bottom left corner on the menu.
Cool. Excellent. I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Cool. Any other questions?
Good, thanks.
Okay. There we go.
Fabulous. Thanks, Lee, for giving up your time again. Lee has promised he's going to send me all his slides over in bulk after this.
Yeah.
So I will get those out to you as soon as possible.
Yeah. I'll bundle them all, so we'll get them all in one email. So
that makes it much easier then for me to send out as well. Again, if there's anything you wish you'd asked or something that comes to you after you've been on the call, then just get in touch with one of us and we can follow that up for you. And that's it in these sessions for this one. Hopefully we'll be back again in the new year with some more there. So have a good day, have a good rest of the week, and if I don't speak to you before, have a lovely Christmas.
You too.
Thanks for joining us.
See you then, Lee.
Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.